Hey everybody, I'm Todd and I hope you're having a great day. Today I'm going to take a look at these HDH40 headphones from M-AUDIO. You know, you see these around music stores, practice areas all the time. Maybe they're by a digital piano or an electronic drum kit, but I haven't been able to find really any information about them online, so I thought I'd check them out. Now the HDH40 are what I would call an affordable general use headphone. I think a lot of people looking at them are thinking about maybe some light music production or practice at home, content creation, general listening, a bit of gaming. I'm going to try to cover those all off during this review. Now, all the headphone audio is going to be recorded using my binaural microphone, so when you're listening, I encourage you to have the best headphones or speakers that you have available. Of course, you're not going to hear the actual headphones, but I'd like you to listen for the differences between the original recordings and the headphones so you get an idea of any coloration they might impart. Now, taking a look at the graph comparison, we can see the low frequencies actually here are fairly accurately represented, but when we get into the upper range, 4.5, 10.5, and 13.5K, there certainly are some dips there, so there's underrepresented frequencies. That is going to have an impact on the tone and possibly clarity of these headphones. We go to the linear analysis, you just see a little more detail there. So let's go on and check out music. Now, the frequency analysis of music also shows those dips in the 4.5, 10.5, and 13.5K range. And depending on how sensitive your ears are to higher frequencies, you may prefer that or you may not. I find them to be underrepresented in those frequencies. It sounds a little bit muffled to me. I don't get the clarity and the airiness that I was hoping to get when I look at the stated frequency response here. The linear analysis shows that in a little more detail. So again, this kind of depends. If you're very sensitive to high frequencies, you may really like the sound profile of these headphones, but otherwise you may find that you're missing some information. Now, I've included this direct comparison here on a line graph just to make it a little easier to see the differences. And you certainly can see here again, the accuracy in the lower frequencies is pretty good, including the bass representation. It's not overstated. It's actually very good for headphones in these price range. But looking at the upper frequencies, there certainly are absences, and they are noticeable again, certainly to my ears. Hopefully the sound is coming through for you on YouTube as well. The linear analysis, again, just a lot more detail there, but we can really see kind of a significant deviation in the upper frequencies between the headphones and original file. Now, so we can do a live comparison. I've loaded up the original direct track as a reference here in iZotope's audio lens, and I'll play back the recording made through the HDH40s. The purple region is the reference, the white dynamic line is the recording you're listening to. Take a look at the difference.
Polaroids all scattered across the dusty floor in the backseat of my Chevy 58, along with bits of candy wrappers. Looking back to when our castle was a shack, vacation was making figure eights in the parking lot. Remember when we used to forgive more than we forgot? Polaroids all scattered across the dusty floor in the backseat of my Chevy 58, along with bits of candy wrappers. Looking back to when our castle was a shack, vacation was making figure eights in the parking lot. Remember when we used to forgive more than we forgot?
If I wrote you a song, if I got every word perfectly weighted on a thin piece of paper, would it make any difference? Would it change for the better? If I wrote you a poem, if I posted a letter, if I wrote you a song, if I got every word perfectly weighted on a thin piece of paper, would it make any difference? Would it change for the better? If I wrote you a poem, if I posted a letter.
Now, looking at the analysis for the male vocal, we can see again those upper frequencies being underrepresented. And when I'm using this in a critical listening application for vocals, doing mixing, I'm going to want to hear those upper frequencies. I want to know if there's sibilance that I need to deal with. I want to make sure the clarity is where it needs to be. So that to me is a bit of an issue with these headphones. Looking at female vocal, I'm seeing kind of the same thing here. And when I listen back, I'm hearing it. I can definitely hear an underemphasis in those frequencies. Again, everyone's ears are different, so it's going to depend on yourself. If you have very sensitive ears to upper frequencies, these may work for you. But for me, not quite there in the upper frequencies. And this is a sample of spoken word, so we can compare the sound of the recording directly versus the sound through the headphones. And this is a sample of spoken word, so we can compare the sound of the recording directly versus the sound through the headphones. Now for spoken word, I absolutely could hear those deficiencies in the upper frequencies. To me, there was a lack of clarity, speech intelligibility here. Again, different for everyone on your ears, but that's what I'm hearing here. Linear analysis is really showing us the same thing. And one thing I will say is that really, all of the tests we've done here, whether it's spoken word, vocals, music, sine sweep, they all kind of point to the same thing that I'm hearing in the headphones. So I'll be interested to get your comments below. Now, these headphones represent a very affordable option for general use, so we're going to check out some game audio. I put together a few clips so you can hear the sound recorded through the headphones.
Save me! Human attack!
So I put a few hours on these headphones gaming, and one of the things I found is that I really was lacking in what I could hear for some of the elements around me in the environment. Things like footsteps, things in the distance. I found they were kind of subdued or underrepresented, and that caused me a few issues as I was trying to play. Again, hearing is subjective, so it depends on, on how sensitive you are to those frequencies. But for game audio, I'm going to say they're an average performer. They didn't really also offer a very spacious environment. I mean, they're a closed-back headphone, but Soundstage is very closed within your head here. Imaging actually appears to be pretty good, fairly accurate with them. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but overall for gaming, I'm just going to say they're an average option. Now, I'm not expecting the world of headphones in this price range when it comes to Soundstage and Imaging. I will say the Soundstage to me is very closed in, inside your head. There's nothing expansive, no positioning outside. Didn't really matter what genre I listened to. And then in terms of imaging, I'm going to say an average performance here. And again, based on my listening and objective tests that I carried out. So depending on your use case, if those are important things to you, just know that you're not going to get anything sort of over and above with these. Now take a look at the build quality of these headphones. Of course, they're plastic construction, but there is a little bit of metal on the side here in the adjustment, and a lot of room here to open these up. They don't have a ton of clamping force. I would call it in the just right range for a lot of people. So you're going to get them to fit pretty much. They don't have a lot of swivel on either side. They do swivel top to bottom, though. The space for ears is a little bit limited as well, so if that's something that bothers you, you need to be aware of that. The cups here, the pads themselves, are a soft pleather material, not overly soft, but comfortable. Same thing with the band for the head here. You get the nice M-Audio logo on the top if that's something you're into. I did find them to be a bit warm when you wear them for a long time. They do seal up fairly well around the ears. And an integrated cable, so if anything happens, you're not going to be changing that without doing some soldering. Now, the cable itself is a straight cable, fairly decent quality. I didn't find a lot of microphonics or anything with it, and it has the 3.5 millimeter jack, of course, with the 1/4-inch adapter. It's a thread-on style, so you're not going to lose it. Easy to keep that way. So overall, I mean, the build here is what I would expect in this price range, but I think they're probably going to be fairly durable. Now, I'll have a link in the description below if you want the full specifications on these headphones, but a couple of highlights I'll draw to your attention are that they are 32 ohm, 95 dB sensitivity. They don't require a whole lot of power. You can use them with any device you want, no headphone amp required. Now, they have an extended frequency response as well, although I found in my testing they do a little better job in the low end than the high end, actually, so just something to be aware of. But overall, specifications line up for what I would expect in this price range. So now that I've spent some time with these headphones and done a number of tests, I'll give you my final thoughts. First of all, these are an affordable general use headphone, so don't expect these to be a really high-end solution if you're wanting to make really critical listening and mastering applications. They're not really meant for that. One thing I will say, though, is that the underrepresented frequencies in those higher ranges could be a benefit in some cases if you want to use them for monitoring, especially while recording. Some people tend to struggle if you have, say, a very sensitive condenser microphone and there's a click track in the vocalist's ears, and that may be bleeding through. Now, these headphones don't have the greatest isolation in the world, but the fact that those frequencies are sort of underemphasized may actually help out if you want to use them for a monitoring application. For general listening, it all depends on your hearing. If you're very sensitive to high frequencies, again, you may like these headphones. But for an average person, I think you're going to find the mids and the highs just not to be there as you might want them to be. Now, the build quality I thought was quite good actually in this price range. It looked pretty durable, a lot of adjustability on the headphones, and I can imagine they're going to last a long time. You know, I see these all the time in music stores. You know, they're sitting around maybe, say, a practice for like a digital piano or an electronic drum set, and I think just the affordability, and yet they're fairly well built, might be the reason for that. One of the reasons I decided to check them out. So again, if you're looking for a general use headphone that's affordable and you can probably, kick them around the room and not have too many problems, these might be a good choice. If you're a little more discerning and you want a more accurate representation, probably not the ones for you. And of course, with so many different headphones and a lot of use cases, there could be a better option for you. Check out one of the videos on the screen. As always, again, I do appreciate you joining me today. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time.